Chapter 19, we are going to be discussing the balanced scorecard, and we are going to be looking specifically at quality and how to measure quality and time as it relates to delivery of our product or service to our customers. There are several measurements and calculations for this particular chapter that can be utilized by companies to make their organization be better at whatever it is they're providing. We have multiple learning objectives. We're going to explain the 4 cost categories in a cost of quality program, and we are able to calculate numbers and decide how much quality costs. We're going to also develop non-financial measures, and we will discuss methods to improve quality. We're going to learn how to use cost of quality measures in order to make decisions. We will use financial and non-financial measures to evaluate quality. We will be able to describe customer response time and on-time performance and why delays occur. You've got some other classes that you guys are required to take for your major, like for example operations management, where you should have or will see how some of this material ties into that particular course. We will determine the cost of delays and also use financial and non-financial measures of time. So this chapter, as you guys can see from the learning objectives, covers quite a few non-traditional accounting topics. However, you guys need to be able to see the relationship between what we're going to cover in this chapter and your future positions. Because as society changes, the issues of quality and timeliness have become and will continue to be increasingly important, and cost accountants can assist management in these particular areas by helping to provide relevant information. Think of the fact that as we go farther and farther into a global economy, the competition is going to become more and more stringent and stiff, and we have to do absolutely everything we can to stay in the game. So quality is most definitely a competitive tool that companies can develop and continue to sharpen that tool. Quality. This is a very important definition for you to break down into pieces to make sure you understand what quality really is. The total features and characteristics, okay? Everything about the product or the service, the total features and the characteristics of that product or that service that is made or performed according to specifications that will satisfy customers. Okay, so we are going to be designing a product or a service that will meet the needs and wants of the customer at the time of purchase, when they originally buy it, but also during its continued use. Okay, so quality is an all-encompassing definition here. We've got a lot of factors to consider when we talk about quality, therefore, so that we can measure the cost of quality, which we can break down into 4 distinct things. Companies will find that if they focus on the quality of their product or service, they will reap rewards, because they will be able to build expertise in producing that item. Okay, so if they focus on the quality of it and the delivery aspects of it and making sure they get it right the first time on time, then they're going to continue to build their expertise. and make those gains going forward, which of course is also going to help with lowering the cost of providing it, because we're going to be able to focus on what goes into making or providing that product or service, as well as getting it to the customer and servicing them. Everybody has seen the value chain. We've now talked about value engineering. There are a lot of costs over the life cycle of a product or service that have to be accounted for, and the better we are at doing those different areas and containing our costs, the more profitable we are going to be. So we can focus on quality at the same time we're focusing on our cost. If we get it right to the customer, then it's going to create higher satisfaction for those customers using it. They're going to be more apt to come back and buy another one. They're going to tell their friends and family about it, and we're going to reap a lot of additional benefits just from the fact that they're satisfied. Of course, all of these things are going to tie into generating higher revenues, and again, we know that our bottom line is affected by revenues and the cost. Therefore, we should generate more income going forward. So companies are also using quality management and measurement practices to find cost-effective ways to reduce the environmental and economic cost of air pollution, wastewater, oil spills, and hazardous waste disposal. We discussed in Chapter 13 these environmental costs and how a company has got to make sure that they are being proactive and considering the environment and all of their stakeholders in the products or services that they provide, and that they also have to track those costs and make sure that they are being covered, and that also the financial statements cannot withhold information regarding any type of impact that the company may be liable for. Product quality can also be an important engine for environmental progress, and that is discussed some in your chapter. There are a couple of quality standards that many companies are requiring that their suppliers and vendors meet. ISO 9000, I know there's other ones besides the 9000 one. There's also ISO 14000. These types of standard systems and certifications that companies can obtain help companies to monitor, document, and certify the elements of their production processes that lead to quality. Many companies are requiring their suppliers to gain these in order to ensure that what they are receiving from their customers are high quality at competitive cost, etc. Regarding quality, we have two distinct aspects of quality that you need to understand these definitions of. We have what is called design quality. And design quality refers to how closely the characteristics of a product or service meet the needs and wants of customers. In other words, from the eyes of the customer, is the product or service designed to meet or fill what the customer wants or needs? Is it designed to do that? Yes or no? So quality, design quality, think of quality by design. The second one is conformance quality. Conformance quality refers to the performance of a product or service relative to its design and product specifications. So we can actually break quality down into these two distinct areas. On the conformance quality, does the product or service conform to or meet its design. Okay, it's designed a certain way. Is it actually conforming to that? Is it actually meeting what was specified in its design? Okay, that's conformance quality, where the design quality was from the customer's standpoint. So, breaking these out, we can actually put these on a line here and take a look at the fact that over here is customer satisfaction. The product is going to satisfy the customer if it fills their needs and wants. We are going to come up with the design specifications based upon what the customer needs or wants. If the product, as designed, still does not meet the customer's needs and wants, then we have a design quality failure. We failed to adequately design the product or service in order to meet the customer's needs. On the other far end of the spectrum, we've got the design specifications to the actual performance. Conformance quality failure means that we designed it, but it's not actually performing as designed. Okay, so is it a conformance quality failure on the part of the product, or is it a design quality failure? Okay, so we can break it up. Quality does not have to be the most expensive thing. A product or service can be a quality product or service if it conforms to its design. This is quality of conformance. We could talk about fast food restaurants and hamburgers. Think about a Wendy's hamburger, $3 hamburger. When you're talking about conformance, quality products in terms of quality of conformance, then Wendy's $3 hamburger is a good, inexpensive burger. What about a $10 burger from Urban Stack? Urban Stack, $10 burger is also a good burger, but one with a higher level of quality of design. So are they conforming to what the customer expects? If I'm going to pay $3 for a Wendy's hamburger, I know what I'm going to be getting, and it's going to conform to what I'm expecting, right? Same goes with the Urban Stack burger. If I'm going to pay $10 for a burger, I know it's going to be a really good burger, and it should conform to that. We can look at the 4 perspectives of the balanced scorecard again and use this to aid us in looking at the cost of quality. Quality has both financial and non-financial components. You guys are going to see in this chapter that some things we're going to be able to measure in dollar amounts, and then there are some other things that are not going to be in dollar amounts. So we can count, for example, the number of customer complaints. We can count, for example, the number of defective products that were returned in a period. Things like that. So customer satisfaction, improving internal quality processes, reducing defects, and the training and empowering of workers. These all have to do with those 4 distinct areas of the balanced scorecard. Some are financial, some are internal processes, etc. So we've got the financial perspective, we've got the customer perspective, we've got internal business process perspective, and the learning and growth. We know that these 4 distinct areas of the balanced scorecard are very interrelated. For example, in the learning and growth, if we continue to learn and grow in regards to bettering our company, bettering our workforce, utilizing that information and optimizing our internal business processes. Those two areas are going to feed into better satisfying the customer, which of course is going to drive revenues. These areas will also aid us in reducing cost. Revenues will increase, cost will decrease, and those things of course are going to be measured in that financial area where our returns on investment can be measured over time, our performance, etc. So consider the balanced scorecard as we proceed forward in measuring the cost of quality, and think of how, if management will continue to keep their thumb on that pulse of the company and the quality of the products or services that are being delivered, then they will measure those items and continue to strive to make them better, and they, of course, will make the company operate better going forward, which again can tie right back into this balanced scorecard. Those improvements in distinct areas are also going to drive improvements in the other areas. Here's a copy of our value chain. We have seen this at least once, if not twice, in our other chapters. We've talked about value engineering as well, and we know that we have costs that are going to be incurred, sometimes even locked in the engineering phases and design phases. We have those 4 distinct categories of quality of cost. For example, the first one is prevention cost. And prevention costs are those that are incurred to preclude or before the production of products that do not conform to specifications. So, for example, what can we do to prevent additional issues and cost? We can be very careful in how we design our products and how we design the engineering process and the manufacturing process. We can evaluate our suppliers in advance. Are their products going to be quality products that they provide us with? Are they going to be on time? Things like that are prevention things that we can do. What about continuously maintaining our equipment? Doing a good job of taking care of our equipment means we are less likely to have emergency shutdowns. So maintaining our equipment is a prevention cost. Training our employees to do quality work. If we teach them how to machine the products, package things properly, etc., those are prevention costs. Things that we can do in advance to head off at the pass problems that could cost us more money in the future if we don't do a good job in the beginning. Testing of new materials that we may utilize, things like that. Those are prevention costs. Appraisal costs are costs incurred to detect, okay, so after something has been produced, which of the individual units of products do not conform to specifications. So think of appraisal cost as between production and delivery to the customer. We want to catch it before it gets to the customer. All right, so inspecting our items as they come off the assembly line, those quality control inspections are an appraisal cost. Inspection during production would even be possible, depending on what type of manufacturing process we are utilizing. Many companies also do product testing. They're going to randomly sometimes select X number of components from a batch or a run and actually use those products like the customers would be expected to use those products. So we're going to do a full-on product utilization test and make sure that the product is going to perform as designed and as the customer is going to expect it to perform. So these are appraisal costs, things that we can do in advance before it gets to that customer. Internal failure costs, costs incurred on defective products, okay? We've had a failure of some sort. We are going to stop that failure in its tracks and take care of it before it would ever make it to a customer. We saw in chapters 17 and 18 spoilage, rework, and scrap, and how we can utilize our measurements and try to make sure that we do the best that we can to keep the normal spoilage at a low enough level. Again, we can control certain things and certain things are out of our control. We also pay a lot of attention to that abnormal spoilage. We do not want to have any abnormal spoilage if at all possible. So those are some of our internal failure costs. We try to catch those items that are defective, and if we can rework them, spend more time fixing them back up so that they are a good product for the customer, then we would do that. When we have to actually repair our machines and taking a look at any of our other processes, we can do those, and those are internal failure costs. Next, we have external failure costs. And these are costs incurred on defective products after they are shipped to customers. So notice, external means they have made it to the customer. Internal, they are still in-house. We can eliminate the customer hassle, okay, and eliminate losing that customer viewpoint. We do not want them to view us in bad light due to a bad product or bad service. So if it's internal, we can still do something about it. External, we're just going to have to deal with it and have some additional cost, which can be quite expensive. We've got customer support, of course. We know that we're going to have different things that we have to do, 1-800 numbers, live chat, things like that to support those customers when they have complaints or need to return products or services. If it's something they've got to ship back to us, we've got to have a distinct department that can handle accepting those returns, processing those credits or refunds, whatever it is that the customer needs us to do. But we may also have manufacturing or process engineering for external failures. We also know that we have warranty repair costs and possibly even liability claims depending on the type of product or service that we have actually provided. We could have stuff go really, really wrong that cost us a lot due to lawsuits and bad PR. Here are the examples that I just kind of talked through lightly. In the next video, we are going to go through how we can go about measuring cost of quality and actually putting a value on these costs. We will go through a 7-step approach, kind of like Chapter 5. We've talked about the decision making, but we're going to use activity-based costing, or ABC. We will identify what the chosen cost object is. We will identify the direct cost of the quality of the product, and we will also select the activities and cost allocation bases to use for allocating the indirect cost of quality to the product. So we've got direct cost, and we're also going to, of course, have indirect cost, and both of those are going to be measured so that we can come up with cost of quality. We'll identify the indirect cost of quality associated with each cost allocation base, compute the rate per unit of each cost allocation base, compute the indirect cost of quality allocated to the product, and compute the total cost of quality by adding all those direct and indirect cost of quality assigned to the product.